Welcome everyone. My name is Douglas Berquist, and today we will be discussing Amazon Quick Suite. Amazon Quick Suite, or Quick, is a generative AI-powered business intelligence and automation platform that allows users to analyze data, create dashboards, automate workflows, and get answers from business data using natural language. Business users often spend quite a bit of time looking for data, both structured and unstructured, analyzing that data, and then taking the subsequent actions based on that data. Quick can help with all of that. Let's take a look. This is the Quick Suite console. Here in the center canvas, the first thing you see is a list of recent assets, like dashboards, flows, and chat agents. Down below are various visualizations that I've pulled in from dashboards that I may want to look at every single day. On the left navigation pane, you'll see custom chat agents, spaces, flows, and research. Below that are quick site options for creating datasets, analyses, and dashboards, along with other Gen AI capabilities like scenarios and topics. Next is Quick Automate, where I can automate everyday tasks for business users. Finally, we have Connections, where I can set up integrations like connections to knowledge bases or actions, and extensions where I can leverage the power of Quick outside of the service. Now let's start with the chat agent. On the top right here, I can click the chat button, and my assistant is ready to help. I also have other custom chat agents I could select. In this dropdown, I can choose which data the agent will use: general knowledge, all data and apps available to that agent, or specific data and apps. This button allows web results for the agent. I can attach files, and I can have my query turned into a repeatable flow. Let's start with some basic questions. I will select General Knowledge and start with something simple like what's the weather like in Phoenix today? Quick will give me my response right in the window here. In the next section, we will take this a step further using our own business knowledge. In this section, we will leverage knowledge bases, actions, spaces, and create our own custom agents. Let's start with our integrations. You can see at the top I have knowledge bases, data connections, and actions. I have two pre-built knowledge bases using S3 as well as Google Drive. Now let's go take a look at spaces. Spaces are collections of assets that a chat agent can use to help the everyday business user. You can see here I have a pre-built space already, and if I click on it, I can take a look at the assets that are included. The first asset is a connection to Jira to take action. Second is a knowledge base. Third is a connector to Slack to take actions. Fourth is a topic which I can ask questions of my structured data. And finally, a dashboard of pre-built visualizations. We can now leverage that space in the chat on the right. I can go ahead and select that space and start to ask my questions. My first question will be, what are our top selling products? Quick will leverage the index of all of the assets in our space and come up with an answer for us. The result is a table of our products and their sales numbers, as well as some key insights driven from that table. Let's ask another question. Show me revenue trends by region. Again, Quick will search through the knowledge bases, topics, and dashboards it has available to it and return us an answer. This time, the agent will actually do a full analysis on the trends happening across different regions and over time. Let's ask one final question that would typically be a complex question to answer. How are discounts affecting our profit margins? To answer this type of question, the agent will have to leverage multiple sources, ranging from the structured data in the topic to some of our documents in our knowledge base. The result is a full analysis on how our discounts are affecting our profit margin. Each section will give critical findings, from the impact analysis all the way down to recommendations on what the organization should do about their discounts. Each section will also give the sources on where the findings came from. Let's move on to creating our own custom chat agent. On the top left, I will select Chat Agent, Create Agent, and here I can start with a prompt on how I want my agent to be built. My prompt includes the name of the agent, the sources it should use, and what I'm hoping to achieve. Once the agent is ready, I can start to configure the details. I can define an identity, give persona instructions, as well as define aspects of the communication style. For data sources, I can upload reference documents, I can connect spaces for knowledge sources, as well as add actions. Let's go ahead and launch this agent. As before, we're focusing on how our discounts are affecting our business, except this time we're going much more in depth. Summarize the overall business impact of discounts and pricing changes on growth, adoption, and retention by segment. Highlight the trade-offs between short-term revenue gains and long-term renewal health. Provide 3 key takeaways I should know for the next board meeting. Quick will leverage all the assets included in the space that I've associated with that agent and build a comprehensive answer. The analysis has a wide range of insights, from overall performance metrics, also broken down by segment, as well as the topic of short-term revenue gains and long-term revenue health risks, giving stats for each. It also gives 3 key takeaways for a board meeting that I can take to my leadership. It will also round out the analysis by giving a visualization at the bottom of the breakdown by each segment and industry. Now that I have my comprehensive analysis, let's ask Quick to share this with the leadership team via Slack. Leveraging the connector that's part of the space, Quick will verify who I would like to send this to. For example purposes, I'll send it to myself, but it can also be any member in that Slack or a separate channel. I can edit the message directly here in the preview, or just click send. Here's the message in Slack, but keep in mind, Action Connectors have a whole host of platforms they can connect to. Okay, let's take a look at Quick Flows. Flows enable business users to automate everyday tasks. To start a flow, I can either select Flows on the left-hand side, or the little F icon at the bottom of my chat. When doing so, I can start with a prompt on what I'm trying to achieve using this flow. In our example here, I'm asking Quick to generate a list of top moving products and asking if ad campaigns had an effect. Once a flow is generated, I can start to change the steps to accommodate the use case which I'm trying to achieve. In this particular flow, I'm starting with an input from the end user on the number of products to display. Next, I'm using an output step. You can see the prompt on the left, and in the prompt, I'm calling the input from the previous step. Other step types include web searches, general knowledge from LLMs, image creation, reasoning steps like if this then that, as well as actions to interact with outside applications. Getting back to our demo here, you can see the next step is leveraging the output from the previous step, and we're checking to see if the ad campaigns had an impact on the products. Finally, we're drafting an email to our sales director about our findings. I'll switch it to run mode here and start the flow. Flows are extremely flexible and easy to use. That's why they're great for business users to automate everyday tasks. They can leverage action connectors to reach out to outside applications, use data from knowledge bases and structured data sets as well, and with the logic steps, it allows users to customize how the flow is used to achieve their goal. Now that our flow is finished, let's take a look at the results. The first box has information about our top products. The next has added in ad information about those products. And then finally, the last box has drafted an email I can send out to leadership. Next, we will move on to QuickSight, which is the ability to find insights from structured data. Starting on my sales dashboard here, you can see I have a few visualizations pertaining to my data. QuickSight has had dashboards for a few years now. What I will show today is the new capability of invoking actions outside of Quick. I'll start by selecting the Action button on the top right. You can see I have a few different integrations. Today we're going to be using Jira to create an issue. First, I will select my project. Then I will pick my issue type. Next, I will give it a summary. And then finally, I will add a description. Once I select Create Issue, the Jira connector will use 3-legged OAuth to create an issue in Jira using that particular user's credentials. Now that we're in our SaaS sales project, I can see the list of issues, and here I can see my forecast concern. These actions streamline business users' everyday tasks, as they can go from insight to action in just a few clicks. Now let's move on to topics. Topics in QuickSight are the ability to ask questions of data in natural language and get answers instantly. Starting with my demo topic, you can see I have quite a few options to enhance how the model underneath answers questions. I can include or exclude fields. I can add synonyms so that it better understands the language of my business users. And I can add semantic information so the model more clearly understands what a field is used for. I can leverage these topics as part of my dashboard, as you see here, or use them as assets in spaces so that my chat agents have access to use them alongside my unstructured data. Now, the final piece I'd like to talk about in QuickSight is scenarios. Dashboards and natural language query are great for simple questions, but what if we wanted to answer more complex questions that require more data science-like techniques? I'll start here with a prompt and the selection of the data I would like to use in my scenario. Once I've selected my fields, I can go ahead, hit Add Data, and start analysis. Quick will give some suggested prompts, but I will add my own. Once I hit Submit, Quick will do its own analysis, breaking down each individual step for me. In my market basket analysis, it will first identify products bought together. Next, it will identify the products most frequently bought together. And then finally, give me a summary of the results. As you can see, Scenarios gives the ability of complex data analysis back into the hands of business users. In our next section, we will talk about Quick Research. Research takes the ability of agents even further by diving deep on all of your sources and building a research paper citing all of those sources. Let's navigate over to the left-hand panel, click Research, and start a new research project. Here we can add our objective prompt. Today we're building a business strategy focusing on our profits. I will add the assets I would like to make available to this research agent, primarily the space that you saw earlier in the demo. Once those assets are added, I will hit Create Plan. Based on my prompt, Quick will lay out a plan it will use to build the research paper. If necessary, on the right-hand side, I can use more prompting to change the plan. But for now, I will just hit Start Researching. Once the plan is executed, I will have my full research paper. It's broken down by section, cites various sources that it uses, both assets from the space as well as web searches. If I would like, I can navigate to the top right and create a summarization of this paper. I can use a prompt to create my own custom summary or just select Executive Summary. Once the summary is ready, I can navigate to the top right and download it. Research papers like this typically take analysts days or even weeks to put together. Now, using the power of AI, I can make those business users much more efficient. In our final section, we will discuss Quick Automate, which is the ability to automate complex tasks using agentic capabilities. On the left navigation pane, we will select Projects, Create Project, we will give it a name, we will pick our automation group, which is how permissions and the assets available to the automation project are controlled. In the next step, I will upload the output from the research agent I showed in the prior section. We will refer to this document in our prompt. Now we can start building the steps for our project. I will start this project with a prompt outlining what I'm looking to achieve. You can see here I'm telling Quick to pull information from an S3 bucket, as well as I'm referencing the document from the research project to group those customers into tiers and open Jira tasks for reaching out to those customers. Once the prompt and associated assets are analyzed, Automate will come up with a plan broken out by steps involving individual actions. As I iterate through my project, I can add different actions. Those actions range from custom agents, decision steps, integrations with outside applications, web browser scraping, Jira connections, S3, and more. Now let's start building out the steps for my project. I can click on each step and build with instructions. Using my prompt, Quick understood the summary and output of each step. When I select Generate, it will create the individual actions associated with that step. These actions, steps, and projects fit together to handle highly complex workflows, saving organizations vast amount of resource hours. Now we can open up the step to see the individual actions it has created using our prompt. You can see it's doing a simple load of the data, but it also includes decisions to validate the information in those loads. Now let's go open a fully built project and see how it works. Once a project is complete, I can have triggers to run it on a scheduled basis, or hit the play button here to run it ad hoc. Now that I've started a run, let's click the View Runs button so I can see the pending runs as well as the history. Now that my run is complete, let's go take a look in Jira to see what happened. At the top of our list is the task that the automation created. If we open it up, we can see all of the data that was gathered in the automation and added to the task. In closing, Amazon QuickSuite's agentic capability can empower your business users to get insights from structured and unstructured data and perform the necessary tasks that they do every single day. It can also automate repeatable tasks, making your organization more efficient. Thank you for your time today. I hope everyone enjoyed the presentation.